course, which what happens when you're lacking 3 hours sleep. Yeah. So it may be a lot of those. Just raise your hand and let me know. Okay, we're about to adjourn. We're about to call the meeting to order. Thanks, Ian. Hope you can cut that out, Ian. All right, so our first order of business is to approve the minutes of February 22nd. Does anyone have any corrections or changes, additions?
So I can make a motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. And at this time, do we have any public comment, or you're free to comment throughout? Just raise your hand and come up. Do we have any comment right now? Okay. So we'll go on with our announcements. Our first announcement is that we have a new Board of Commissioner liaison, Kathy Agnew, Commissioner Agnew. Welcome, and do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, I'm here. Thank you very much. I'm here to
Thank you.
listen and learn and hopefully be of help. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. The next announcement, making for Radnor Conservancy, they wanted to announce that they're having a lecture on introduction to mushrooms, on mycology. I think in general it sounds very interesting, and it's at the Radnor Library on April 16th at 7 p.m. For a fee of $35. The second announcement is that there is a Darby Creek cleanup on April 27th from 9 to 12, and you will be meeting at Skunk Hollow Park. So that's a nice spring activity for person or for families if you're interested. And are there any other announcements?
What was the date for the mushroom?
The mushroom lecture is April 16th at 7 p.m. in the Radnor Library. Okay, and then I'd just like to ask everybody to always talk into the mic because I do the minutes from the recording. Thank you. Any other announcements? Okay, so then we'll move on to the update from the Green Team. Dan is not here. I did forward the email, but I will read what his update was. Take me 1 second here. As far as his updates. All right. Here we go. The first one is that the Board of Commissioners this week unanimously approved our letter to the POTUS supporting the EPA proposal to further tighten GHG emission standards for heavy-duty, largely diesel vehicles. Thanks to all of the EAC for supporting this letter. The second is Practical Energy Solutions presented to the Board of Commissioners this week, results of their evaluations of energy and major structural systems in the Township building, Public Works buildings, and the Activity Center. Key proposals were in line with the RF 100 goals set out in the Township's 2021 Renewable Energy and Conservation Plan. These proposals included HVAC electrification using efficient cold climate heat pumps, installation of LED lighting and occupancy controls, roof replacement, and installation of rooftop solar panels. And then the third thing is that he requested EAC approval of the final wording of just a post to let the public know about the cold climate heat pumps, and I did send that to the email so you can have a chance to read it. It does not require a vote, but if you see any changes, please let Dan know, and then he can send me the finalized thing, and we'll put it up on the website. Yeah. So are there any questions that I may or may not be able to answer?
No, my only comment is it's a little bit long of a paragraph if he wants to put it in the tips. the
Yeah, I was
earth-friendly
gonna tell
tips.
him that,
So we
yeah.
might want to just,
Yeah.
condense it.
Yeah, it is long. Could just mention that it'll be on the website, yeah. Any others? Thanks. Okay, so then we'll move on to the update on the lectures. This past month, we had the beginners, March 16th, I think was, Guide to Solarize. It was very successful. We had, I believe, 40-some people. It lasted overtime. There were so many questions by the audience, and they had then somebody in the back after the lecture to give anybody interested a quick there's like a Google app that you can do a quick overview to see the suitability of your property for solar, and that's one of the things the Solarize Delco does, who presented this. They had a number of people signing up for this evaluation. First, he did it on the app, and then they signed up for a more detailed evaluation. So I was actually surprised that, we did have that interest, which is really good.
Was it taped?
Yes, it was, and it is on our website. Yeah, so if you want to look at it, it's really good. I mean, I felt like I knew quite a bit about solar, but not what they presented. It was a lot more, yeah. So yeah, maybe wish I could have solar, but I've got a sycamore tree in the front and the maple tree in the back. Totally shades the roof, and I'm not going to get rid of them. Yeah. But it really sounded great, and very doable. Yeah. So, and then we don't have a lecture in April, but May 30th is the Low Waste Life lecture presented by Shift from Bryn Mawr, and that should be very interesting too. So hopefully you can come, and hopefully we have the turnout that we've had in the last two lectures, because that was really good. Oh, I did have another announcement. No, I didn't write it down. I can send it by email.
What time is the next lecture? Because that's on a Thursday, right? So
Yes.
is that around this time in the evening?
Yes, it's in the
Okay.
evening. I think it's either 6:30 or 7. Mm-hmm. Yes. Which,
Would that be when we have our meeting?
No, I think it's the week after. I think
Oh.
there's
Yeah,
5
yeah.
Thursdays that month.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
week after. That would be funny one day. Yeah. Any other comments on the lectures? We're not going to schedule any then probably until fall again, unless somebody really wants to. Okay. So our next item is native plant giveaway update. Everything's been ordered, and within 2.5 days, the sign-up was filled for 140 residents getting, actually, we have 300 plants, but I didn't know if some would not be good and viable, so we took 100, no, maybe it was more than 140, about 144 or something that sign-ups, and then closed. And Melissa isn't here, but Ian is listening. I want to thank Melissa and Ian because I looked at the sign up like on Saturday, and it looked like it was ready to fill, and I wanted to know, I hope we have an automatic stop, or we're going to get like 250 signs. So I took the chance and wrote an email to them and thinking, well, they're not working. They don't have to be looking at this. But both of them saw their emails and actually did close the registration then. So that was really nice.
And the date of that is?
Yeah, that is April 13th, 9:30 to 12. So if you can, show up for that. And even more important is the repotting event, which is April 6th at 10. So, please join in on the repotting. I was hoping Emma would be here.
Where's that going to be?
At my house. I'll send you, I'm not going to say it on the broadcast, but I'll give you my address. And Dan said he would bring like a fold-up table. I don't have the accommodations like Gretchen had last year with the Radnor Conservancy. I'm not used to repotting 300 plants. So if you have a little folding table, fine. If not, I have a table, like a little picnic table, and then Dan's bringing one, and we'll probably figure something out what to do.
April 6th, 10 a.m. at your house.
Yes, April 6th, 10 a.m. That's Saturday. Yes, so we do urgently need volunteers for that. Also, I've made the printouts on the eco-friendly yard thing, because that's when we got our big burst of people last year. So they'll be handed out. And I'll make the printouts for the plants. So last year, people just took a picture of the plants, so we don't have to hand out more paper. And that seemed to work fairly well. So is there anything else that we should be doing or for the plant giveaway? Okay. Boy, we're going to do record time here. So the next thing is the career workshop update. I was really hoping Emma would be here. I did notify her an extra time, but
It's spring break this week,
yeah.
so she's probably.
so it's scheduled for April 4th, which is a Thursday, from 11:20 to 12:20. And it's in the black box room. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm sure I'll find out. Lisa is going to be one of our panelists, as is Ray, and then Nat Weston from Villanova. He's the chair of Geography and Environmental Sciences at Villanova. He's going to be talking there. He actually has a class until I think 11:30, but he's going to be our last speaker. Yeah, Villanova isn't that far from Radnor High, thank goodness. Although with that intersection, you never know there. Yeah. So anyway, Emma said she's set up a registration. I have not heard an update. I'm going to bring food to help lure the students in. And I've written letters to all of the science teachers. I think there were 7, and I heard back from 2 saying they will definitely announce it to their classes. And then I'll send reminder letters on Tuesday about it. So hopefully we'll get some students. If not, it's something we don't want to do again, probably. And yeah, so all of you, well, Lisa, you'll be there, but Carol and Eugenia, you're certainly invited if you're free. That's not a good time to be free. But if you're free, then you're certainly invited. And it's not open to the public, but our group can certainly come. Yeah. So we're hoping that's going to work well. The plan is to have each of our speakers speak about 10-ish minutes, and then allow time for questions and just general discussion. Yeah. All right, so our next order of business is, old business and then new business, we'll do the new business first here. Lights out for bird migration. So I just got actually a few people contacted me about the lights out for bird migration starting April 1st through May 31st. And it's too late to ask our board to make some kind of proclamation or something, because I just didn't know of it in time. And I don't know, I'll get your opinion here. I was going to put it on our website, and I think maybe I still will, the website and the newsletter about it, but it is intended mainly for like big buildings that light up. You know, I don't know if like turning off your porch light and that kind of thing will do much. We could just make an announcement that it is during that time and see, you know, if somebody has like a spotlight or something, they may, you know, turn that off. So does our public have any comment on that?
Hi, Diana Pope. I would like you to put information to be available. I've just started reading about it myself. I moved to this area a year and a half ago and read about the catastrophe in Philadelphia in 2020, which inspired businesses in the city to voluntarily lower their lights on these skyscrapers. So it's unclear to me, too, how relevant it is for residential buildings. But I personally have a vested interest because I live in the Windermere apartments, and they keep lights on 24 hours a day. And I would love some evidence to be able to get them to use timed lighting, which you can set to keep lit for 10 minutes if you want, you know, but we don't need constant outdoor lighting. And I do believe, from what I read, that spotlights actually are a wonderful thing to eliminate. It's after 11 p.m., so it really should not have much impact on people in a residential area or even for businesses. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Jillian Norris Santo, Inverary Road in Villanova. I wanted to say something. The migratory bird issue is one thing, and it may not be that critical here in Radnor Township, but looking ahead to the summer, I do want to say something about outdoor lighting and its impact on nocturnal insects, mammals, and creatures that are active at night, and especially moths. Because if the light isn't right, if it's the wrong kind of light and it's on all night, it attracts so many flying creatures, moths and other insects that fly by night, and they kill themselves. They just exhaust themselves and use up all their reserves of energy swarming around these lights instead of doing what they're supposed to be doing. And that has an impact, of course, on bats, birds, and the creatures in the daytime that would have eaten these insects that are now not available. It just throws the whole balance of insects, birds, the whole thing, you know, out of whack if night after night you're going to be killing huge numbers of moths. And there are articles about it showing that a certain kind of light is better than another kind of light that I can refer you to. And it may seem sort of trivial, but when you look at our township and people who want their lights on in the gardens, and it all adds up, I'm not even talking about huge spotlights. I'm talking about the outdoor light that we use just for fun on the decks, the patios, and around the pool, and so on and so forth. maybe an awareness about that that could be brought to people's attention through some excellent articles that I'm sure I can retrieve somewhere from my voluminous files, too voluminous. So this, of course, is a summer thing, but looking ahead might be helpful.
Yeah, thank you, Jillian. That is actually a great thing that I think we do need to make a big deal about, because, you know, like lots of my neighbors, they have like just decorative lights out, you know, like little strings of lights and things, and you're right, that probably attracts the moths and so forth. And yeah, that's a great thing. I think maybe for projects, you know, making emphasis of this, yeah.
And Marjorie, I think having an article or the announcement of this program and project on the website, yes, we don't have any big, tall buildings around here, but it's a great educational thing for people in general. Discussions at the dinner table with their children and
Right.
other neighbors. And, you know, not that far from us is King of Prussia, which is looking like
Well, I know.
a mini Philadelphia. So, I mean, even though we don't actually have it here, I think it's important that we put something in.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, King of Prussia is like an alien landing site or something.
In more ways than one.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Okay, so I did want to bring up a not very popular old business. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because I ran into someone at the Solar Delco who, this is something they've been very concerned about over the past few years. And we did bring up, I think about a year or two ago in the meeting, and it kind of ended in disaster, but that is the use of pesticides at the Drawson farm. And it seems to be a very politically hot topic, the Drawson farm. But there is a resident who, and we did all request back a few years ago, a list of pesticides being used, herbicides more specifically, which are the most harmful. There was, the township had agreed to do monitoring of the creek that goes through that thing for any pesticides, which of course turned out negative, because in order to catch them in the creek, you have to get it right after they were you know, put out and rain came, you know, so the chances of catching that is very slim. But this resident claimed that she did receive a copy, but it was illegible, and so she's making an effort to get a more legible copy of what they're using now, supposedly, and the amount and the timings and all of that. So that is one issue. You know, I don't know, it's up to the group whether we want to pursue this. And the second issue about the Drawson farm, our Drawson farm, is that it's being used to raise cattle, and cattle are the #1 greenhouse gas contributor of all agriculture. So if you're going to have agriculture there, environmentally, cattle would be the last thing to choose. And that's the second issue. And then even less popular, of course, which really isn't our purview, but for reasons you'll shortly see, I'm going to bring up anyway. And that is, you know, the whole fairness of having one person use township land for essentially free, for $1 a year, and make a profit on it. So I find that a whole ethical problem other than the environmental bit. Yes, so we do get, you know, residents saying we love the cows. They are not cows, they are cattle, which are steer and heifers. And that's just kind of beside the point. So, does anyone have anything to contribute at this time? Or if you think this is something we would like to take up in the future? Or is it too much of a hot potato?
Marjorie, somebody told me the other day, and I have to confirm this, so take it with a big grain of salt. I think the cattle are going. This person said to me, no, they're removing them. They'll be gone soon. I don't know any more about that.
I don't know either.
Okay,
I only,
but that might
I only
solve.
went by what this person told me.
Okay. Worth finding out.
My question is, I just don't remember where we left this a couple of years ago, but I thought we had requested, I thought we had discussed requesting a list of the pesticides that were used, and do we, where are we with that?
Well, that was what I brought up, yeah. So apparently the most recent list was illegible. It wasn't to us, it was to this resident. You probably know who she is. And so that's just, I only learned of this, and that's just where it stands at this moment. If the cattle are going, then of course that piece of the environment issue be gone. Whether it's going to still be farmed and pesticides used, that we all have to find out. Commissioner Agnew, would you happen to know anything, any updates?
This is all news to me. I worry if the use is being changed, it's going to be developed. I'm not saying in any way that it is. That's the first thing that comes to my mind is, uh-oh, what's going on?
That's what I was thinking too. I think a lot of the environmental impact of cattle farming is because the, Amazon rainforest is cleared for cattle farming, right? So I don't know that that is necessarily a
Well, no, this is referring to the methane that they produce, which is
right,
apparently,
but
I got all
saying
kinds of statistics.
if they end
yeah.
up developing it into a housing unit or something, like, I don't know that that's,
Well, the township would have to
worse.
sell the
mean,
land
not
for that
that-
to happen. The township owns that part of that
yeah,
land.
I guess what I'm saying is from an environmental standpoint, I don't know that having the cattle there is worse than whatever would end up there if the cattle are gone. So I'm curious.
I agree.
And I do enjoy seeing them, but that's obviously separate. But as the EAC, I'm more concerned about the pesticides issue because we've looked into this before. The township itself is typically very careful with the herbicides that they use are, they're pretty benign because we have looked into that before. So if there are dangerous, carcinogenic pesticides that are being applied in parts of the township, I would think that would be something that the township and the commissioners would be interested in learning about and seeing if there's safer alternatives. So that's my 2 cents on the issue. I'm more concerned about that if those are being used. I would like to know, and I think we should ask.
Well, the reason for the pesticides is growing the food for the cattle, yeah.
So
So
Marjorie,
Marjorie,
oh.
I'm sorry.
just a quick question. So this is not pesticides being put on the lawns of those new houses as part of the Ardrossan development? The pesticides also refers to the cows? Okay.
So Marjorie, where was this brought up that was very unpopular?
It was at our meeting when we had different members, yeah. And so I don't know, I just, that's up to you whether, you want to follow up in any way. I think since the difference, of course, is that it's township property. We can't, I'd love to be able to tell all the residents they're not allowed to put pesticide. I love to do that. But at this point, I don't think we're quite ready to do that. But we can, control what we as the township do, and we would hope. So, that's the situation. And, as far as redeveloping, that certainly, depending on how you redevelop, would not be environmentally friendly. You know, we could make a plan with, you know, the township to get a developer and, you know, an environmentally friendly developer to make nice, environmentally friendly cluster housing that's entirely run off of solar and geothermal, and be like an example and model. Radnor Township would be a model for all the rest of the area. That would be, you know, kind of a dream scenario.
I'll sign up.
That would be a dream scenario.
I don't think there could ever be, what do I know, but could ever be any development there. That is very close to the creek. It's very wet. I mean, that would be a riparian nightmare, so one would hope it would never go that way. I mean, it's not a big plot of land there.
I think originally they had said there'd be trails and things. I
Yeah.
think it was supposed to and hopefully it'll go to
Yeah,
that.
I can't imagine, it must be very wet too. But anyway,
Yeah,
hopefully that
it'll
would
go
never be
to
developed.
either meadows or some, you know, walking trails or something, yeah.
Trails there now.
Yeah, but, you know, more extensive. So that would be the best case scenario for sure, yeah. Anything else?
Well, I wonder if we could find out about the cows. 'Cause
Yeah,
That's a new dynamic.
I definitely can find out, you know, if anybody actually knows definitively. Yeah, I'll check with Melissa. She'll know how to find out. Other input?
This article I just pulled up says that is the last working farm in Delaware County.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the township owns the land.
Yeah.
What, Eugenia?
I just said I like the cows. There are not that many of them.
And they're not cows.
I like the cattle.
Okay. They are slaughtered and sold for meat, so the person makes a profit on that. All right. So, any other public comment at this time? Okay.
So this is a different topic. Diana Pope, and I live at 116 Windermere. So 3 times in this school year, my apartment's or just the other side of the middle school, so I look at the back of the school. 3 times this year, I've watched and had to endure the noise of almost two gas-powered leaf blowers clearing leaves around the middle school. It would go on for at least 2 hours, just outside the windows. I don't know why the school board wants that to happen outside. I'm assuming there are classrooms there, but I haven't been in the school. And I'm across the street, so I'm some bit away. And if I'm in my apartment with windows and doors closed, it's still loud enough I can't talk to somebody on my phone. So that means it's probably at least 70 decibels. And I actually am a published researcher on things related to sound. When I worked for the Portland VA and worked with an audiology research group, I'm an epidemiologist. I'm not an acoustic engineer. That's not my expertise, but I'm interested in sound. So I think about the effect it had on the kids. But when they were finished, I looked, and half of what they were clearing was the mulch. Okay? And this last time, which was within the last week, they were clearing the mulch to put down fresh mulch. There's something wrong with this picture. So we all had that great talk by the horticulturist at the Jenkins Arboretum. And there is something weird that has happened with the aesthetics of mulch. I mean, we pick the color of the mulch we want. It's like mulch has become what we want to look at. And yet, environmentally, it's ridiculous. I'm sorry, it's just absurd. It's happening on my own grounds as well. But anyway, in this public space of the school, I thought it was worth knowing. But what topped that, I wrote it down, on March 26th at 12:30 p.m., I parked, it was a Monday, I parked to take a walk at the Radnor Trail. And as I got out of my car, I was stunned by this noise that made me turn around and look across Conestoga Road. There were 6 leaf blowers together going on a lawn. And then they could go more quickly, I would give it that. But I mean, I think it's like a plane, you know, and there are all kinds of environmental laws related to sound protecting us from that. But then we pull this same noise generation and pollution right into our own neighborhoods. I know people make their livelihoods using leaf blowers. And so there are 2 things. One is I found on Penn Environment that Montgomery County has actually composed a, what do you call it? It's an example of a legal document a municipality can use with the function of phasing out gas-powered lawn equipment over a period of about 3 years. And it's based on Article 1, Section 27 of the Pennsylvania Constitution, known as the Environmental Rights Amendment. It provides that people have the right to clean air, pure water, and to the preservation of the natural, scenic, historic, and aesthetic values of the environment. Pennsylvania's public natural resources are the common property of all the people, including generations yet to come. As a trustee of these resources, the Commonwealth shall conserve and maintain them for the benefit of all people. So this municipal document is based on that piece in the Pennsylvania Constitution. So the purpose of this chapter is to reduce the use of gasoline-powered leaf blowers. This is focused just on that, to curb air and noise pollution in neighborhoods, near schools, and in parks, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, promote the use of rakes, electric alternatives, and alternative leaf management practices within the municipality, and to preserve the natural, scenic, historic, and aesthetic values to lower noise levels. So I'm paraphrasing. So it delineates the statistics, which I'm sure everyone is somewhat aware of, and it fits actually because you folks just were so successful in getting that letter to President Biden. These leaf blowers and the lawnmowers actually are incredibly inefficient, and they exude exactly the same things as these diesel trucks, including fine particulate matter. But different than the diesel, that exhaust, this includes who knows what from lawns, mold, pieces of rotting insects, fecal matter, who knows what. These things blow at about 250 miles per hour, so they decimate. Jillian was talking about the effect of lights and insects being drawn there and being killed. The habitat of insects is being destroyed by these leaf blowers. So in any event, I think this is something worth considering. I'm more than happy to send, I need to know where, but send this information. Thank you.
Jillian has my email, yeah.
Okay.
This is excellent. We've discussed this before, I think a number of times. If we could have that document, that is excellent. You are absolutely right. I mean, I have so many allergies, and sometimes I remember to bring my mask, and I wear a mask if I get near it, but and the noise, that you're right, they do 5, 6 at a time, and it's just, try listening to that when you have hearing aids that pick up that kind of thing to begin with. You do too? Yeah, it's almost painful. It's almost painful.
So one question I had actually is documenting noise, is wondering whether the township has a professional grade noise dosimeter.
I don't know.
Because there are noise-related ordinances, and if you don't have a dosimeter, is it only annoying people or not?
I take it a dosimeter is something that measures decibels? Is that a
Yes.
dosimeter?
Uh-huh.
I don't know, but I will find out.
I
There are-
did just pull up the ordinance, because I was curious as you were talking about the noise issue. And there actually isn't a decibel level in the local ordinances. It basically, there's just an unnecessary noise prohibition. Any unnecessary noises or sounds are prohibited, and it goes into some detail, but there actually isn't a decibel level. I do agree with you, it would be helpful if we had documentation that we could present to show if it is really high. But you
Right.
don't actually need to prove that. I think because this is in the ordinance, it should be reported, right? If it, when it happens, you should let the township know that it's happening so that they can, maybe step in if it is unnecessary noise. And then I just want to quickly, while I'm talking anyway, weigh in about the model ordinance. I would be happy to take a look at it on, as a first step with the board and see if that model ordinance is something we might want to present to the Board of Commissioners here, because Margie's right, we have had public comments and we've discussed
Right.
this as a board over the years, because I know it is a concern of a lot of residents,
Oh,
but we've
yeah.
never really done anything about it. So
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea and would be a good first step for us to
Right,
look
we
into.
discussed it, and, there was the point that, these crews that do this, they don't just service Radnor Township, they service other townships, and, I think it was brought up, maybe this is something we need to discuss with the Delaware County Sustainability Group as well, because if it were countywide, that'd be a little more useful than just the township. Although I'd love it, even if it's just the township.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
also thinking about the students, because if this is happening at Radnor Middle School, and these kids, are being exposed to that. I mean, I have on my Apple Watch, it'll go off like, especially if you're doing the hand dryer, I'll all of a sudden get a beep because
Okay.
of, it will tell me. when it's-
Really?
Yeah.
I'll ask my son's at the middle school, so I'm curious, I'll ask him to ask around too.
So I just know off the top of my head that 80 decibels for 8 hours is the limit OSHA has for when you have to have hearing protection. But as the sound goes up, and remembering that it's not linear, it's exponential, if you're exposed to 100, which some of the commercial leaf blowers, if you're thinking of the personnel operating them, that's at least 100. And without protection, they are losing their hearing in less than 15 minutes. They're being affected, and that doesn't come back. So it's a social justice issue, too, if you want to look at it that way, in terms of who's actually operating the equipment, whether or not it's being enforced they wear hearing protection, whether it's available for them. So there are a lot of ways in which they're not great. Thanks.
And I'm sort of fascinated about why are they blowing away perfectly good mulch and then putting new down? I mean, is there not an expense in there? Is
there are
not-
also leaf, mulch blowers. Have you seen that? They shoot it out like the mulch blower. It's like a leaf blower, except it goes the other,
Yeah.
well, no, it goes that way, and it's blowing out mulch, which are also extremely loud.
Well, and the
yeah.
disruption to the soil and the microbes and all the chemistry of the soil, and, topsoil is a disappearing thing in our environment is really atrocious. So is this happening at the high school and the middle school and the lower school and every Radnor thing? That's an interesting.
Yeah, it's also, I'm curious if this is something that, I don't know who makes those decisions, but I assume it's probably somebody at the school, Yeah, so that might be something that you or we, could bring up with them too as they're making those decisions. This may be off topic, but I was thinking as you were talking that I thought I saw something come through from the Radnor Memorial Library that they now have, you can borrow things that are not just books. Am I remembering this correctly? I'm wondering if this might be the type of thing, like if we had gasoline-powered, non-fossil fuel-powered leaf blowers that like you could check out from the library, or, I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there. There might be a kind of nice community aspect of this, or some way that we could encourage better practices without
So
having
I
to
lived
make
in
people spend.
Portland, Oregon for 15 years, so they have made some progress. And in my neighborhood, they had what was called a tool library. And my understanding, I read the same notice, is that it's emulating that a variety of things that people like me, I live in an apartment, I don't need a lot of stuff, but every now and then you want something, you have a place that you can use it. I think it's a fabulous idea.
I'm just looking at something that I mean, I don't know whether you referenced this, but this is on Penn Environment. Gas-powered leaf blower lawns in Pennsylvania. Penn's Environment Toolkit for passing laws tackling climate, air, and noise pollution from gas, leaf blowers, and lawn equipment in your municipality.
That's probably the model ordinance issues.
Okay.
If you can send that to the board, I'll take a look at that. Thank you.
I just wanted to let you know that the average decibel level during this conversation is 66. Just so you know. I have a dulcimeter, whatever, on my phone. So this is kind of the, what it would sound like, or 80, whatever, how much higher that is. I'm not even up to 80 yet, but it's pretty loud.
Yeah, I mean, I think leaf blowers are louder than us, but maybe not.
Way louder. They're way louder. I guess that's part of my point, is that
Yeah,
this is pretty calm.
yeah, yeah. All of a sudden, did it get louder?
I spoke louder into the microphone.
Well, I have a non-fossil fuel leaf blower. It's called a rake. And you know what? I just don't think it takes any longer to rake than to those leaf blowers, because you have to keep going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Anyway, so that was great, thank you. Anything else? Okay, so
I just tried to send it. I don't know if it went through or not. I sent it to EAC Council. Did you get it? Oh, good.
I don't always get, yeah. So I may not have gotten it.
Can I ask a question? When you were talking about that tool library, do you mean literally
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
library? Is that what you mean? Okay.
I don't know. I just saw that a notice came through, and I read it really quickly the other day, but I think that's what it sounded like, is that there are, the library, you can go into the library and physically take out tools, or I don't know, things that are not just books. So I was just kind of thinking this would be the type of thing that would be really nice, because
Yeah.
you don't need to use your leaf blower every day, but maybe someone would want to go in and borrow one every once in a while, and it'd be nice to give them an option,
Yeah.
Of an electric-powered leaf blower there, if that's okay with the library. I don't know what their requirements are, but.
I don't know either, but I am the liaison for the library, so I'll bring it up.
Perfect.
Trying to get it all together here.
Well, that's useful. Okay, anything else? Okay, so then my announcement is that the May EAC meeting will be my last. And so, yeah, I've been like 3 years on the EAC and then another 3.5 as the chairman. And I think it's time to let somebody else have a chance. So that's 2 months. So I'm hoping by next month there will be some volunteers, or, somebody wants to nominate someone. And obviously that if someone were nominated, they'd have to agree to it. But so we could bring this issue up next month, and then May, then we could have a vote for our new chairperson. And but I wanted to give plenty of notice, because when I sort of reluctantly accepted it, there was absolutely no notice and no follow-up. So I want to provide files to the person and, have some nice things for you to work with. And yes, to have it the best possible seamless way.
Well, thank you for the notice, and that is very sad. We've been very lucky to have you, but I appreciate the notice.
Thank you.
Will
Yeah.
you stay on the board, or are you
No,
going to
no,
just-
I've
okay.
been on, technically past, because I started in the middle of a term and took over someone else's term, I think. So it's not been a good accounting,
Yeah.
and we really we don't pay much attention to that, to be honest. Pretty much if someone wants to be on it, they're on it. So, but, yeah, it's been a while. It's good to have fresh perspectives, and I'm going to be moving on to other things as well. So, yeah, I don't want to obviously leave this whole arena because it's very, very important to me. And I think, though we do little baby steps, I think that, you just have to think that if every township does this, it is going to have a big impact, like the plastic bag thing did. So I think it's important because the likelihood of, on a national level, some, huge changes happening, are not great because of the political problems. So I think this is, really an important group.
Marjorie, are there rules that it must be somebody from the current board, or can somebody from the outside come in?
As chair?
Yeah.
That I don't know. I think it's usually someone from the inside, yeah.
It would have to be someone that got approved by the commissioners,
Yeah,
like we all
yeah.
did, I guess, at the very least.
And
It
then-
could be someone new, but they would have to get approved before they,
Right,
yeah.
I mean, something, obviously I'm going to leave a vacancy, so then they'll have a, announcement to fill the vacancy. I mean, if there's some outside person, somebody knows that you think would be great as the chair, what you could do is have an interim chair and, wait till that person comes on board. That's a possibility, if you have somebody in mind. Yeah, because, most people are pretty busy. And though it might not look like it, I've spent a lot of hours on this. And so you do want to have someone that has the time. Some people, they've got a really demanding job that's more than 40 hours a week, and, though their intentions may be good, they may not be able to do it. So somebody that does have is willing and has the time is important. Yeah. So, yeah, anytime you want to volunteer to me or send nominations, I assume I'll collect them, and we'll hopefully get somebody. Because when I volunteered, it was like a 10-minute silence, and I couldn't stand it any longer, and I had volunteered. So, yeah, we won't have that this time, I'm sure. Okay, is there anything else that anyone has before we adjourn the meeting? Okay, then the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, and thank you for all you've done.
We're off the TV.